Hello everyone and welcome to Gurun's classes. Today in class 10 EVS, okay, we are doing conservation strategies. Okay, so in the previous video also we've discussed about in situ conservation, ex situ conservation, okay, and wildlife sanctuaries, national park, biosphere reserves, etc. Fine. Now botanical garden, etc. Now today we'll be discussing about conservation strategies. Okay, now these strategies means beforehand neither the government of India or neither the different countries of the world they were concerned about nature or conservation of the wildlife, either flora, either fauna. Okay, but when the hunters, the poachers, or the international this trade commerce, they started using these natural resources, okay, as for granted, or when hunting, poaching was done, when the animals number started going down, and when it brought down their economy, when it started influencing the country, its tourism, okay, or its natural habitat, then the government of that country or the different countries, they realize that certain strategies have to be made, certain laws have to be enacted. So that is why here we will be discussing, okay, certain strategies or the laws. Okay, for example, we have is Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Project Tiger 1973, International Unit for Conservation of Natural Resources, IUCN, the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, okay, and we will talk about sites. Now, what do we mean by Wildlife Protection Act 1972? Now, India realized before 1972, yes, there was, an act, okay, which was actually protecting the birds, okay, and then the plants and animals, okay. But in the year 1972, an act was passed which is known as Wildlife Protection Act, okay, and under that act, wildlife means both flora and fauna were protected. Why? Because, okay, the flora had its own importance, fauna has its own importance. So under that, animals and plants were categorized into different categories, into different sections, group A, group B, group C, group D, group E, and accordingly, only according to that categorization, according to their category, if any any criminal act is done, or say suppose if hunting is done, or if poaching is done, or if trade is done, okay, or if their parts are used for medicines or for aesthetic purposes or for trophies or for some other cases, okay, then according to the level or according to the stages these animals are being given, okay, according to that only they have been penalized, they have been punished. Okay, the punishment could be non-bailable also, the punishment could be fines also, the punishment could be jail also. Fine. So Wildlife Protection Act, okay, and over the, so under Wildlife Protection Act, no hunting, no trading was done, okay, it was for the protection of wild plants and animals. Hunting, trade, commercialization, anything, everything was prohibited except vermins. Now vermins means those animals which are nuisance, okay, which acts as a bug, or which acts as something which is harmful to the other organisms, okay. So under that vermin category, the vermins are allowed to kill or hunt, okay, for example the common crows and all, okay. Then again, under this act only, under this Wildlife Protection Act only, the wildlife sanctuaries, national forest reserves, etc., they were formed. So that means hunting, poaching, nothing is allowed. Only hunting is allowed, or only killing of the animal is allowed when a certain animal, when a wild animal, becomes a threat, becomes a danger, or starts killing human beings, or becomes a danger to the human life. Then at that time only, okay, under certain guidelines, the animals could be killed. Fine. Now, under this Wildlife Protection Act only, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, conservation, forest, community reserves, all these were formed. Okay. Now, actually, under this only the Project Tiger was initiated. I'll come to that afterwards. Okay. Animals were kept under different categories, I told you, and vermin animals were also kept in one category, whereby animals which itself are a threat, plants which itself are a threat, were eliminated or can be killed. Okay. Afterwards, you know various amendments were done in, it was initiated in 1972, then in 1982 again it was amended 1986, 1991. So the more amendments were done in this Wildlife Protection Act, the more stringent actions, the more strict it became. Okay, it became more strict. Okay, to the hunters, to the poachers. Okay, more strict fines were put upon them. So best is 1991 amendment was very strict. Okay, the central government and the state government, they can, under this act, because of this act, they can declare any area as a wildlife sanctuary or a national park or a closed area under this Wildlife Protection Act. Whenever a state government feels that, oh, that place is very filled with flora fauna, okay, or it should be reserved, it should not be open to public, then a state government or a central government can decide that. Okay, so under Wildlife Protection Act. So under that act only, the Project Tiger in 1973 was initiated, because tiger reserve, and from this Project Tiger, and after this 1972 only, tiger, especially the Royal Bengal tiger, was considered as the national animal of our country, India. Before, yes, there were the Asiatic lion that we have in Gir also. A proposal was also had also come to undertake a lion as the national animal, but because and later on, after this Project Tiger, after 1972, okay, with the initiation of this Project Tiger in 1973, tiger was taken as a national animal. Okay, like lotus as national flower. Okay, now under Project Tiger, it's a project in order to protect the tiger, in order to protect from poaching, hunting. Okay, because poachers and hunters, they kill the tiger for their hide, for their skin, for bones, for so many things, medicines maybe. Okay, so that is why Project Tiger is a project in which a field director is there, and field director looks after the project. Fine. And then there are many such tiger reserves are there, and such tiger reserves are controlled by a director. Okay, and in the year 1972, okay, it was near about estimated, okay, to be 1800 tigers. Okay, and it fell down to near about 1400 also, but now slowly the tiger population is increasing. Okay, and it has gone up to 2226 in the year 2015, sorry. And there are 23 reserves in India. There are certain drawbacks also of Project Tiger, because see, in India is a huge country. India being a huge country, population is also big, and then the people are also not educated, and on top of that, the government also cannot, on paper strict rules are laid down, but to act those strict rules, because of the lack of fund, lack of road facility, lack of proper equipment, like boots are not there, proper binoculars are not there, proper guns are not there, proper medicines are not there, proper tagging systems are not there, proper technology is not there, proper system is not there of collecting data, and also that is why Project Tiger could have been much more better, but is in what do you call, okay, in a bumpy road, we can say. Okay, but doing its best to increase the number of tiger. Okay, and okay, in 1973, the Palamau Tiger Reserve, okay, which is in Jharkhand, was the first tiger reserve. Now we have is 23 tiger reserves, and yes, they are doing their best, at least. Okay, the tiger number is increasing, but still the hunters, poachers are there. Okay, whereby the tiger are being killed, or recently only in the news also I watched, whereby in one of the tiger the reserve only, the mother tiger died. Maybe she was old, and her cubs are being looked after by the male tiger. Amazing thing. Okay, so there also you can see is parenthood, in fact fatherhood. Fine. So the drawbacks are there. Now IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, it was initiated in in France, okay, in 1948 actually. Fine. It was meant for the protection or the conservation of nature, for protection and conservation of the nature and wildlife, everything, plants, animals, okay, birds, okay, from two-legged to four-legged animals. Okay, and conservation means hunting, prevention of hunting, poaching, illegal trade. Okay, and then commercialization, everything. Okay, and near about 1000 government and NGOs, they are a part of this International Union for Conservation of Natural Resources. So that means it's a huge international body. Okay, huge international body. Many countries are a part of this IUCN. Okay, whereby they make various analysis, and they collect data also under this IUCN only. The red list data are there, whereby they say, okay, they make the data, they collect the data and from different countries, and they say, okay, this species number is going down. A long time back the number was this, now it is this. Okay, now it is vulnerable. Okay, now this is, yes, it's about to be extinct, vulnerable. Okay, or this is endangered, vulnerable or endangered. Okay, now we are not finding this. Okay, these animals or these species are found only in that place. Okay, that's endemic species. Okay, these species are found in various parts of the world, but very in less number. Okay, so rare species, so or extinct. So red and then it also makes a list of animals who are under endangered, who are under threat. So that is known as a red data list. So it's governed by International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Okay, now next is Ramsar Convention on Wetland. Now what do we mean by wetland? See, wetland actually means a land which is most of the time is wet. Okay, like for example, you also must have experienced, like nowadays, okay, in the hills we make is concrete house. Long time back when Britishers were there, at that time they used to make was wooden houses only, but now we all make is concrete houses. And then the now it's a hill. Okay, so our houses we have is the front part, and the back part is also there. The back part is most of the houses, they are attached on the wall or near to the wall only. Yes or no? Fine. So that part is always wet. Yes or no? Always wet, dampy. Now why is that? It's because the soil is moist, and then the moisture comes inside that the backside of the wall. Yes or no? And then there it's very cold, always wet. So likewise, this is the sea or the oceans, and then here the river goes. When the river meets the sea and the ocean, nearby the places is known as wetland, because that place also is moistened. The soil is also moistened and is full of water. Okay, and during the rainy season even the water level rises up, and then during the dry season the water level might go down, but most of the year it is wet. Okay, but it is not just like lakes or ponds, because lakes and ponds are very big, like Sundarban area. Okay, the high tide and the low tide, the water level goes up and down. Fine. And wetlands means these lands are very close to the end of the mouth of the river, or are always covered by water. And because of that, okay, the up and down of the water level also, or may not also, fine, because it might be a closed area also, it is a very good natural habitat for birds, like waterfowls are also there, birds. Okay, and for fishes, for various animals. But these wetlands nowadays are encroached. Okay, they have been destroyed, either for agriculture, either for plantation, either of palm trees, or either for making roads, or for for development, etc. So wetlands are being destroyed day by day. Because of this, what is happening is the natural habitat of various animals are being removed permanently. So that is why there was an international convention on wetlands. Okay, where it was the very first time in the year 1970 wetlands. Okay, in the year 1971 in Ramsar, it's in Iran. Okay, whereby a convention specially meant or made only for wetlands, okay, was organized, and then they have passed a project to protect the wetlands, and near about 170 countries are a part of this convention. Fine. Sundarban of India is one of the biggest wetland in India, whereby the Renuka wetland is also one of the smallest one. Okay, and these wetlands, they act as a natural sponge, because these wetlands, since they are always wet, so when the flood water tries to come inside, the sea water is also prevented, the flood also is prevented, because they already are wet. Okay, they also protect climate change actually. They keep the number of the animals, the plants, or the ecosystem intact. Okay, but destruction of the wetlands and ecosystem is destroyed. Ecosystem being a part of a biosphere, then the climate is affected. Okay, and last but not the least, we talk about is site. Okay, site is convention on international, okay, trade of endangered species. Now again we come back to trade of endangered species. Okay, now endangered species, the species itself is endangered. Why? Because of trade. Now, like like the horn of, rhino or elephant tusk, etc. The hunters, the poachers, they keep on killing, okay, and for making money, for easy money, and the numbers of these animals are going down, of these species are going down. Because of that also, okay, there was the convention which is known as CITES, Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, both for flora and fauna. Okay, it was initiated in 1973, which prevents the trade of endangered species, whereby the use, okay, either commercial use or therapeutic use, medicinal use, aesthetic use, okay, ornamental use, or poaching, hunting, killing, etc., banned totally. India also became a part of this site, okay, in 1976. Okay, certain animals like gorilla, sea turtle, okay, giant pandas, okay, they are, okay, under sites. That means they are under the covered by endangered species. This convention, okay, and near about 178 countries are a part of this sites. Okay, so dear students, kindly go through it. The question might come: what are the various objectives, okay, of Wildlife Protection Act, or what is the full form of this, or IUCN? Okay, at certain points write a short note on Tiger Reserve or Project Tiger. Okay, so kindly make note upon it. Okay, so thank you very much.